Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a non-bingo-y rack, but it's a good rack because I've got a scoring tile in the J and I've got vowels to go with it. I've got jaw and J on my rack. I'd like to play off the J with one of the two other high-scoring tiles. I don't think there's a way I can play off all three. Now I can play J and KY. That places an A next to this triple letter square, which is not ideal. My Y can also go next to the F. So I could play Waney and keep the J back. That actually has some merit because it doesn't give very much away. I don't like the JG combo, but it's a fairly clunky rack to begin with. 36 points. J, slightly higher up, about 31. So this is a better play. Is there an even better one? Well, I don't think so. Not a great rack. Looks a long way from a bingo, but I do have a couple of vowels. And I've drawn another high-scoring tile in the X. XED is good, as well as Dex. But this board is pretty tight. If I had played K, then my X could have gone on this triple letter square. Except I wouldn't have an A or O for going next to the J, so I wouldn't have got it tripled twice. Nowhere at the moment great for anything, but the board's pretty tight, so hopefully my opponent will also be struggling. FY takes nothing after it. KA takes an A and an O in front. Kufi takes an S after it, so row K is a good bingo lane for bingos with S. Column 10 is also a bingo lane. But for non-bingos, there's pretty meagre pickings. XED could play in column 7, making Xi. That's still available. 19 points for my opponent. And he's given very little away. Well, certainly very little that I can do anything with. XED is quite nice because it sorts out the duplicates and it doesn't give a huge amount away, and it kills the S hook, or restricts the S hook for Kufi. Rack leave not great. And 20 points not great either. I'm just wondering if there's a J play I've overlooked. Maybe something coming down here ending WE, a 5-letter play. Judge if I had a U. G doesn't work. Ochre doesn't take anything after it that I've got. What about a play across row J with either my J or my X on this triple letter square? Can't see anything. Well, reluctantly I'm playing X. I don't feel it's best, but it might be. Only one vowel, and I've still got the J on my rack, and there are no floating vowels apart from the E of X, and that's not in a great position. Jedi is good onto an I. I've got a 15-point lead, which is pretty much nothing since my opponent is on turn. Waney takes nothing in front. And I really do need a second vowel to take advantage of column 10, because one of my vowels would go next to the W. So I'd need some other vowel if my J were to go on the other triple letter square. Through an A, I would have jangle or jangled. That would sort the rack out. So my opponent may play in a ladder down towards the bottom left and not provide any floaters. I still don't have anything to go after ochre. The V of Vrot is available for a play in row E, but that doesn't sit very well with my rack. I think Derv is probably the best I can do there, and that's not great. Just 16 points. Now, my opponent does provide an A. Not in the right spot for jangled. I don't have anything coming down from the Y. I can't play in across the top of Paddy because I've got nothing to go in front of the P. So what about just playing Jag? It takes AGS after it. 22 points, not great. It would be nice to play off one more consonant. I could play Gadji, playing off the D and the E, but it's the LNR triple, which I'm not particularly happy with, and also I don't like opening row O. Jag is quite tight. If my opponent takes advantage of any of its hooks, he will be opening up row O. And if I draw vowels, this is quite good. $41 points. 41 points as opposed to 22. 19 extra points. A horrible rack lead, but I think the points justify it, especially on a tight board. My opponent is going to struggle to score and maybe reduce to just a 3 or 4 letter play in row M, which is fine because I'm slightly ahead. Well, that's the risk with keeping a lot of consonants and no vowels. So I need my opponent to play a vowel, but if he's just going to continue the ladder, he won't. I haven't got anything down from the Y. I have PWN. For not very much, and keeping 5 consonants. So that's not better than changing. At the moment with this rack, I think I will have to change. I just can't see a way of playing off more than 1 or 2 tiles, and that's not good enough, or I'm not getting a good enough score to do that. However, if a vowel is made available, I may be able to play through it, something like twang. $16 minutes on my clock, still 65 tiles to come. And I've got a 20-point lead, which is practically nothing. Yeah, almost any vowel would be helpful and enable me to play through this. I'm just looking at the vowels on the board in case it's possible to play through, maybe a word with ochre in the middle. Can't see anything there. And ton is not particularly promising. Nothing goes in front of XI, so I can't put anything in front of ed. I've got Jarl, but that opens up row O, and it keeps 5 consonants and scores almost nothing. And if I am playing, I'd certainly like to split up the GW combination. Now my opponent's taking a while. He may have a good rack, he may have a bingo. There are a couple or a few bingo lanes on this board. There's row M beginning underneath the Y. There's column 10 hooking W and ochre. And there's also row E with V in penultimate place. Well, how annoying. My opponent plays off vowels. None of them are available for me. And what's particularly annoying is that my G can go in front of LEI, but I can't score. So I am going to have to change. And it's a case of keeping RT or just the R. I think I'll keep RT. Not a great rack. But I do have vowels and I have a scoring tile. And the board's pretty tight. So apart from bingo lanes, scoring options are limited. I'm looking in column 8 to see if I've got anything down from the Y. I don't think I do. I don't have anything for going in front of the LEI, which would be G or V. I'm looking at the V of Vrot to see if I've got anything in row E through it. Can't see anything. 16 points for my opponent. Now he's opened up a spot for me. I can play Toho down here, which is going to give me the best possible rack leave and score quite well and not open the board up. And in fact, it's obstructing the front hooks for Hone in terms of bingo lanes. 28 points is a good score. Not good, just the one vowel, but that's a lot better than none. Quite a ladder developing on this board, but that's okay since I've got a slight lead. It would be a worry if I was behind, which I will be if my opponent bingos fast. Quite a few bingo lanes on this board. Now I've got sits in column 12, which will score quite well. Rack leave not great, RTT. 38 points though is good. But I can't see anything else which scores well. And my opponent may well play there, and does. Women takes nothing after it. How takes nothing after that I've got. My C could go in front, so I could play tick, which is better than changing. And I could play ticks. The S not massively useful, and I'd rather keep 3 consonants than 4. 31 points is a good score. Women has opened the board up because column 13 is freely available. Otherwise, I might balk at playing, at opening up row A. I don't feel great about it, but 31 points is attractive. I can't see a way of scoring anything like that elsewhere. Not great. I've got there 2 on my rack, which at the moment plays in row A, but I suspect my opponent may well play there. Now, I do have a V for going in front of LEI. Turv not good, I don't think. Eruv is good, but then that doesn't get doubled. So I'm not in a great shape here. I'm only 1 point ahead, which means I'm behind since my opponent's on turn. And I'm going to struggle to score with this rack. Chow takes a K after it. K's already been played. Vutty is good onto a Y. Dolites, I don't think that's good. Great. But it means my opponent has got a good rack. In fact, he's got Doiltust in row A. So I think I need to take that out. He didn't see it before, he may see it now. But how to do that? Gosh, not an easy rack. Just very little on offer here. "13 minutes on my clock, 45 tiles left. I'd like to play off a lot of tiles, but the best I can see is RUT, keeping TTERV, which is rubbish, except I can play Vert. Vertu, of course. Vertu. I think that's the play I originally saw. 24 points. I have the Q, but I have the U with it and another vowel. So I've got quit and quip and quirt. Can't see anywhere fabulous for any of those at the moment. Maybe my opponent will provide something. Just looking around for anywhere for my QU combo. I'd like to play it as soon as possible. Chowed. I think that's good, but I'll check it. Yep. So I'm now 10 points behind. And that play has provided nothing at all. Virtu has blocked row B. I have quit. I have quit down here, which is dangerous because I know my opponent has got an I. However, the score is 33 points. My opponent may well get that or a bit more, but not a lot more. He's probably looking to bingo. And he's got the S, so he may have a bingo beginning with S, but it's more likely that the S is elsewhere in the bingo. 33 points is good. I can't get anything like that anywhere else, I don't think. So, I think this is my play. I'm just thinking about playing quip, and I think quip is better because it scores more points. I think 6 more points. And, well, the duplicate T restricts it by 5. I think I'll keep the P because it is fairly bingo-y. I don't like duplicate tiles, and if I don't have a bingo, it'll count as a scoring tile. Horrendous. Apart from that first little beauty, the rest of it is awful. However, I can simply change B, GGP, and a rack leave of blank RT is excellent. Yeah, 47 for my opponent, and he's had to burn his S. So he's played IDS, ED, ITS, ED, which means his rack may be now away from being a bingo. He's provided nothing for me. I am going to change. Not great. There's still a ton of vowels out there. I'm just not seeing them. 32 tiles to come. I'm 30 points behind, which means I now want the board to stay open. I can play Yerd down from the Y, which will sort the rack out nicely and create floaters. The whole of this top left of the board is dead, apart from bingos with V in penultimate place. The right-hand side of the board is open. There's the floating D, there's column 13, there's row M, and Yerd is going to open it up a little bit more. Great. Hardly anything for my opponent. I don't need to bingo. I'm 40 points behind, but I may be able to catch my opponent without bingoing. That is a rack. Much, much better. But do I have anything? I have rateable in column 13. Okay, that's a start. I have Alberts in column 13, which doubles the B and the word gets doubled. So, do I have anything beginning with D? The remaining tiles pretty bingo-y. So, if my opponent bingos now, I could be struggling. I'm likely to be able to bingo back, but that may not be enough. 27 tiles to come. So I have Alberts down here. That places an E next to this triple letter square, which invites a 5-letter play, but Alberts ends RTS, so that there would need to be 3 consecutive vowels, which isn't very common. So that's not as dangerous as it initially looks. But do I have anything beginning with D? The D of Yerd in the bottom row. Tradable. Doesn't begin with the D. to elaborate is a 9. I don't think I do. So all I've got at the moment is column 13 Alberts and the same in column 11. Tradable, I'm not sure about. So although that would play in row O, I'm not sure if it's good. It may have an E or may not exist at all. I'm just trying to see a word with the D in any place. Doesn't look good. What about the I? The play would have to begin with the I. Can't see anything. 8 minutes on my opponent's clock, 10 minutes on mine. Now this G is also a floater. 3 in front, 4 after. Can't see anything there, but there could be. Elaborate if the G was elsewhere. Now, Albert, does it still play? It does. Fantastic. And this is going to obstruct the D as a floater. This will put me in the lead, so I now want the board to be tight. Albert's 77. And I draw some vowels, which is good. I am 50 points ahead, 16 tiles to come. Well, I was going to say there are bingo lanes on this board. There aren't many. The whole bottom right of the board, you've got the D, but it would have to overlap NA and L. Unlikely. And then there's the G in 4th place. Again, unlikely. And possibly something pretty amazing in row O, overlapping all of the tiles in O's. However, the remaining tiles are bingo-y, so that may be possible. Now, what can I do with my rack? I don't have a bingo. Nice play by my opponent, 31 points. He's only 20 points behind. He may not need a bingo to catch me. I need to keep scoring. Still an S and a blank out there. I'm drawn to this, to putting my F next to this E, 10 minutes on my clock. If I do, I'll be opening up column 15, possibly for a bingo. Now, I can't see any. I think if is the best I can do, but I think that's just too dangerous. So, where else can I play? I could play across the top here. Play a fag. 11 tiles left. So I'm 25 points in front. This is going to put me 50 points in front. That's pretty good. My opponent, nothing goes in front of FE, so the best my opponent can do is a 2-letter play. He's not going to score very much with that. Now, am I missing a big play in row O? Well, I don't think so. My I would go underneath the S, so the play would begin with I. I can't see anything there. What about a play down column 14? Can't see anything which wouldn't open up column 15. So I've got fading for 30 points, 5 more points. But then an I and an O could go next to the G. I think I'll stick with the tighter play. Not good. 8 tiles in the bag. However, not good, but not bad either. It's a long way from a bingo, but this is a non-bingo-y board, and I'm trying to preserve a lead. And in that situation, it's good to have scoring tiles, and I've got 2 of them. And scoring tiles need vowels, and I've got vowels. My A can go above G, just where my opponent's gone. 27 points. I'm now 23 points ahead. I need to keep scoring. So, where can my M or P go? Well, they can both go by the O of arrows, but nothing goes in front of Z, nothing goes between Z and R. So, not a good position in which to score. My M can go after the E. My N can go after Anna. So, whoops, I was going to say name, but that's not a word. I can play aim. Just too dangerous. A bingo would kill me. So that can't be best. So what about just running along the top of GU? 6 tiles left. Well, it's hard to think of a word which doesn't open up column 3, and the remaining tiles are super bingo-y. 7 minutes on my clock. So my A would have to go here. My M here. Well, let me look at the vowel situation. 7 vowels out of 13, so they're half vowels. I don't want to keep a vowel-heavy rack leave. Pam takes an S in front. And the rack leave's horrible, and it's opening up column 3, so that's not good. I'm just wondering about a play in column K, row K, running through Z and R. 6 minutes on my clock, 6 tiles left. So what about a play in row O, beginning AI or just I? I don't think I've got a 4-letter play beginning with I, except I do. I have Inia. And not many plays end in A, and I'm keeping scoring tiles. 18 points. Slightly risky, but it's pretty vowely, the remaining tiles, and bingos ending in A are obscure. Great, I draw the blank. Now, I'm wondering about... Well, I was thinking about epidemia, but that doesn't play anyway. I'll certainly live to regret this if my opponent does have a bingo ending in A, because I just don't think there's a way of me coming back. Do I have anything with G in 4th place? So, epi... game's not good, so I don't think so. I could have a bingo running in column 14, parallel to Albert's. Let me see what I've got, if anything. Haven't seen anything yet. Still nothing. Possibly M pair. That doesn't play. Okay, I can't see anything. I think I'm in good shape if my opponent doesn't bingo. Only 2 tiles in the bag, so I'll have a pretty good idea of what's on his rack after this play. I'm still looking at the G of Gov in case there's something through it. But I can't see anything with the epi prefix. And I wonder if there is anything in column 15. Struggling to see anything. Now I know that my A can go in front of G if I had a play in column 14, so my blank could be a T and I would have tap it for almost nothing. Okay, my opponent empties the bag. I can see what he's got. I don't think he's got anything with G in 4th place. I don't think he's got anything ending in A. I could play Mazer. So I'm looking to go out in 2 now and not provide anything. So Mazer for 19. Then I've got Sepia onto the A. And what else? I'm imagining I've got something in row D or row F. Well, I have pride in row O, making OE, so Mesa certainly does the job of enabling me to go out in 2. Probably not best, but very difficult to find the best out in 2. So the priority is always to find one which works, and usually at this stage of the game you're short of time, so it's hard to find the time to identify the best play, and it's hard to do anyway. Now, what's the best I can do with my rack? I think both of the alternatives I identified were very low scoring, Pride and Sepia. What about pluralizing Mesa? Can't see a way of doing that. What about a play in row D which gets doubled? Well, my blank would have to be something which goes in front of G, so an A or a U, and I don't have a play. 24 points for my opponent, so I've got a lead. The game is won. It's just a case of maximising the score. Well, I suspect this doesn't achieve that, but the game is won. Pride for 9. Just wait for my opponent to end the game. He does. Final score, 345 to my opponent, 390 to me, a winning margin of 45 points. So a very tight game. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first. He played Kufi. This was my rack. I played Waney, and I think that's fine. My opponent plays Vrot, and now I struggled here. I played XED in the end. I didn't like it, but it looks fine. My opponent plays Paddy, and I played G for 41 with a horrific Rackley, which, not surprisingly, causes me grief. My opponent plays Lie. This was the horror show I was facing, and I changed, and I think changing is certainly better than everything on offer here. These rack leaves are from hell. My opponent's rack, he plays Hoon. Toroth, that's nice. I didn't know that. B11 Toroth for 35 points. Also, Ortho at B10. How can that be? B10 is already used. No, making Ohone for 30 points. But I played Toho for 28 with a good rack leave, so it's probably as good as the others, except perhaps Toroth. My opponent plays Women. And now, wow, I have Chowry, but 3 T's is pretty awful. So actually I prefer Ticks. This is where my opponent has Doyletust. He doesn't spot it, fortunately for me. He phonies. This is my rack. And having spotted Virtu, I then take ages to see it again, but do. And I think that's fine. My opponent now doesn't have a bingo. He plays Chowd, which was a nice play. And now I have the choice between Quip and Quit. And I prefer Quit. My opponent's rack, he has no bingo, but he has a 47-point play with hits. My rack is, again, horrendous. I change, and look at this. Impossible to score more than 9 points. So changing definitely best. My opponent plays Gov. My rack, I play Yerd to open the board up to create more bingo lanes, since as soon as I have a blank, and it's not the very end of the game, I'm pretty confident that I will have the chance to play a bingo, so I want to maximise those chances, and Yerd does that. My opponent, does he have anything? He has Solars, okay. Difficult one to spot. He plays rolls, and that's ideal, because I have Alberts. Now, where all the other bingos are either in column 13, where I played Alberts, or they're in column 11. 11H. Oh, right, through this L. Okay, but Alberts looks best. My opponent plays Arrows, which was a good spot for 31 points. And now at this stage, I'm 25 points ahead. There are 11 tiles left. I don't want to open the board up. The remaining tiles are bingo-y. So G14, Naif. Actually, that has merit. Because although it opens up column 15, there has to be quite a lot of overlaps to really take advantage of it, so I like Naif, and the rack lever is good. But I chose not to. I played a tighter game with Fag. And my opponent has Nosebag, so it's possible. Well, if I played Naif, Lan isn't good. Yeah, so Nosebag wouldn't have played, but it was close. He doesn't have a bingo. He plays Bar. And now Nam does play. Still 6 tiles to come. I want to keep the board tight. I could play Impy at the bottom. Oh, wow, I can't believe I missed Impy. I thought I looked for it and didn't think I had 2 eyes. I did. I think Impy was a better play. Far fewer words end with an I than with an A, and it scores a lot more points, so that was an oversight on my part. My opponent still no bingo, plays on. My rack, I don't have a bingo, the bag is empty, and I'm now looking to go out in 2. But I must be careful not to create a floater which my opponent can use to go out. He's got encages on his rack. So I played Mazer for 19, which is not far behind many of these, and it does guarantee the out. My opponent plays Cag, and finally F14. Playable down here alongside Alberts, which is pretty nice. So 22 points. I played Pride for 13 fewer points. But certainly, in a game, your number one priority is getting across the finishing line in first place, and Mazer and Pride certainly does the job. So pretty exciting game, not massively high scoring, very tight until, well, very tight throughout. If my opponent had bingoed right at the end, it would have been a different result. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time.